All right, hey guys, welcome to another video about the Stellar tutorials series. In this video, I'm going to be talking about SDKs, or you can call them Soroban SDKs. Like I said the other time, so Soroban is a term that will come across all through our development and all through our journey in Stellar. We come across it a lot, but basically we are talking about SDKs in this series. In the previous series, we talked about data fetching tools provided for us by Stellar, and we mentioned two of them. We said we have the Horizon APIs, which is basically a RESTful HTTP API provided by Stellar, which you can use to query data on the blockchain and also submit transactions to the Stellar network. And yes, so we talked about the Horizon API. Then we also mentioned the RPC, which is the Soroban RPC. And we said the Soroban RPC is a remote procedural call. It's a JSON RPC that we can use to interact also with the blockchain. But in this case, we use it to interact with smart contracts, to also query smart contracts and also interact with smart contracts, right? So we mentioned those two things, and we said also that Stellar does not provide RPCs for mainnet, but it does for testnet and the future net. But you can also get RPCs for mainnet from ecosystem providers or by deciding to run an RPC. So in this video, we are going to be talking about SDKs, right? And from our previous diagram, we said, from this previous diagram, we talked about the stack, right? Now, this is the stack. We talked about the network, which is lower in the stack. We talked about data availability tools that are available for us, RPC and the Horizon. And then now we are talking about the developing tooling, developer tooling, which is the SDKs, right? In this case, we'll talk about the CLI also when we talk about smart contract development. But for now, it's good to have an idea of the SDKs that we are going to be talking about. And in this case, we have the SDKs. And what are SDKs now? They are basically, and let's dive deep into the SDK and take a look at this. So for SDKs, SDKs are software development kits, right? And what is an SDK? Now, an SDK is a developer tool. That's basically what it is. And Stellar provides us an SDK, also called the Soroban SDK. And you can look at it in this term. A more broader definition of an SDK is a developer toolkit for application development. Or in the case of the Soroban SDK, it's for developing applications for Stellar network, right? It's meant for Stellar application development. So it means that the SDK is already, the Stellar or the Soroban SDK already contains all the tools, the libraries you need to interact directly with the network. So it allows you, basically, this is from the official Stellar the official Stellar documentation or website. You see it allows you to write smart contracts in Rust and interact with smart contracts in other languages. So this is like the easiest way to look at it. We have Soroban SDKs allow you to write smart contracts in Rust and interact with smart contracts in other languages. So understanding that the SDKs are just a set of tools that have been provided for you, it makes it easy for you to interact with the network without having to go through the headache of a lot of configurations or having to do things manually. So those things have been provided for you, and it just makes it easy, right? So to work with. So we've come across a lot of SDKs. There are SDKs everywhere that we use in our major development lives as devs, as developers. And Stellar also provides you an SDK that makes it easy for you to interact with the network. So now there are many SDKs available in Stellar, right? There are a lot of SDKs we have in Stellar. These are just few of them. These are the ones that are officially maintained by the Stellar Development Foundation, right? So these three are maintained, right? Maintained by the SDF. We have other ones that are not maintained by the SDF, but they are maintained by the community. So we have SDKs for PHP, for instance. We have SDK for Flutter. We have SDK for Python. Yeah, we have for Python. We have for Elixir. We have for what other assembly scripts. Yeah, assembly script. We have for iOS also. Yeah, we have for iOS. We have for Flutter. We have mentioned Flutter already. We have for Java. We have for Ruby. We have for C++. And I think we have a whole lot more, but basically we have a whole lot of them. But all of these, aside from these three, are maintained by the SDF, right? These are maintained by the SDF. these three, and the other ones are maintained by the community. So all of these are maintained by the community, but you have access to using all of these SDKs to interact with the blockchain, with the network directly. It's just everything follows a specification that allows you to interact in similar ways, right? So the way we interact using any of these three that are maintained by the SDF, you can also use all of this, and you are sure that you still get the same results using the SDK. So basically, that is what is provided for us by Stellar in terms of developer tooling. We have other development toolings like the CLI, but the SDKs are much more robust because you have access to a lot of features, a lot of libraries, a lot of functions, methods provided for you to interact with the Stellar network. And so one important thing to note is that all the SDKs are open source, right? So you can contribute to them. They're open source and you can contribute to them with SDKs. So I think that I just wanted to keep that in because it's important as developers. You know, most developers want to always contribute to open source projects. So this is also good to know that you can contribute to any of these SDKs that Stellar provides for you. So like we mentioned earlier in the beginning of this series, that Stellar is an L1 blockchain, is an open public blockchain, is an open source public blockchain. So everything about Stellar basically is open source. So you can find this online, you can contribute to any of the SDKs that we have listed here. So that will be the end of this video series about SDKs. This video about SDK, and in the next series we are going to be diving into another section. So for this series we talked about the core concept and the Stellar stack. We've mentioned the network, the Stellar core, the Horizon, the RPC, the SDK, and this diagram also buttress everything we've talked about here. Now this is more like a stack, right? They are stacked on each other. This is stacked on this, and on this. And you can see that we started from this, which is the core stack, talking about data availability, and then the tooling provided to you by Stellar. Then when we start talking about application level, application layers, start talking about smart contract building smart contracts, deploying smart contracts, we'll come to talk about the application side of this stack. But for now, we are going to just be talking about these three layers of the stack, and we've done justice to that, talking about it in the last 3 videos. Now this making the 4th video. So I hope you've learned something from this, learned about Stellar. Thank you very much for watching. See you in the next video. Bye.